all this talk about that new black power? Did it all start with a little white powder? From the 80s age of the cocaine, now we on a different page in a different campaign. What is all this talk that be coming from the stars? It was late at night when I saw one pause.
Rise up this morning, down through the rising sun. 3 little birds perched on my doorstep, singing sweet songs. What up, awesome avatars? We are out again in nature. Cut this off. We are out again in nature doing what we do best. Let's breathe in that abundance and let out that happiness. Today is a beautiful, beautiful day. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. The sun is shining. The weather is sweet. The birds are chirping. It's a beautiful day. And today, I want to talk about a little bit about our history. I know I go into history a lot in these new seasons, and this new season of So Nice Conversations or Nice Conversations. But this one, you know, I want to just break down some information that I know about all our root races on Earth. A lot of people get confused and misconstrued of where we started at as a human race. You know, every species in the animal kingdom has their beginning, middle, and end, right? So I want to break down what I feel and what I know, and through research, if you do your own research, you'll realize and see these particular root races, and also our grand, what we would say, ascension to what we are right now as basically like indigo children and really like advanced beings, you know. As you can see, the birds are agreeing with me, so let's get right into it. Let's breathe in that abundance one more time. Awesome avatars, you are here today. We are talking about the 7 root races, and I want to break it down for you right now. So let's go. Breathe in that abundance and let out the happiness. Now, in the beginning of time or eons, there was a lot of different species that came into existence, and some that are lost underneath the ocean. That's why you see a lot of underwater cities that are being discovered now, all the way through Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean seas, all over the world to the Yucatan Peninsula. You can see a lot of underground oceans or underwater oceans being discovered, and they need to be recognized and be respected. So I'm going to break down how they came here and how you and I, awesome avatars, are actually descendants from all these amazing deities, right? So let's break it down. Now, I'm going to say all the root races, and then I'll go into specifics of what they really are, okay? So the first root race was Polaria, or Polarian, the Polarian race, right? The next one is Hibernia, okay? After Hibernia, we have what's next, okay? After Hibernia, we had Lumeria. Now, these are root races. These are like considered like ages, as you can call. So like an age is like 10,000 years. So you can kind of like justify like how that broke down over the past hundreds of thousand years to millions of years. But okay, so we have Polarian, we have, is it Hibernia, then we have Lumeria, then we have Atlantis, and then we have the Aryan, which is our modern day until now, the Indigo children. So I'll break down all these root races. I think there's 7. There might be some like sub-root races in between. They'll make it 7. It might be 5, but let's just break it down. Okay, these are the root races. I'm calling this video the root races, all right? Let's go. So Polarian, so scientifically, when humans were created, we were created, what they won't tell you in science is that we were actually very, very in tune with our transcendent bodies. And so how we could break that down is we were less dense in form. So density, higher density means that you're more like constructed to this physical form. Less density will be like how we consider like angelic form, which is transcendent. So Polarian race, when they came into existence, it was basically the Earth didn't have like a 3D matter. It was more so like a 2D vision where it was just like it was just in creation. That doesn't mean that they weren't ultimately involved with being conscious at all. They were actually high vibrational beings. They asexually reproduced. They didn't have sex or anything, so they asexually reproduced. Asexual, you could see that in a lot of amphibian races. I mean, amphibians do that. Fungi do asexual reproduction. So this is similar to what was going on during literally the beginning of dawn of time of humanity. They were Polarians. Polarians were transcendent in form, okay? They were moving transcendently. You know, the sun was in creation, but they came from a place called Polaria, okay? Some may argue that place was in the North Pole. Some may argue that place was in the center of the universe, or the center of Earth. I personally believe it was the North Pole. I believe that the North Pole, and I feel, I'll go into another video why I feel that way. I feel like the North Pole was the ultimate Garden of Eden. Although, yes, we had a lot of Garden of Edens over the time, but considered Garden of Eden. But the main Garden of Eden was at the North Pole before it turned to ice and all that, because that's where ultimately the Polarians came from, and then we migrated and more like came into more high density, basically becoming human, more in form throughout our you know, from the center of Earth, and then we expanded. So in the beginning it was literally Polaria, okay? Polarians were very transcendent in form, like I said, and they didn't have, they were so, they didn't, their society didn't have any war. It didn't have anger, aggression. It was literally an angel form. So you know, like in the Bible or anywhere, if you ever like had an angel experience, angels are very like transcendent in form, okay? They don't have physical matter. They're less dense, meaning like you can put your hand through it, you know what I mean? Or it seems like you can, but really you nobody really does that. They just, that's how it feels, that's how it looks like, transcendent in form. I'll put like a picture of how it is right here, transcendent form humanoids. Next we have Hibernia. Now Hibernia was a world where in the beginning of Hibernia, okay, they were more dense, so they started getting electrical bodies. Electrical currents started flowing, so imagine more like more density, so less transcendent, more like electric. So we were more electric in form in the beginning of Hibernia. So these are the sub cultures in Hibernia. So the subcultures in Hibernia, like say 10,000 or 100,000 years in the beginning of Hibernia, after Polarian. So Polaria was like, I would say like 50,000 to 10,000 years of just divine cultures, right? And then Hibernia hit, so you had that transcendent form. The height of them was, there was no really height yet. It was still like a transcendent form. So they could be like 1 billion feet tall to like 1 foot tall. Nobody really knew. But at the end of Hibernia, there came the giants, the big titans that look up mud fossils, okay? People say that the Devil's Tower in Wyoming used to be a tree. If you look at a lot of mountains, they look like big giant titan, giant humans that literally just fell, almost like a story of Lot, how they turned to pillars of salt. These big mountains are similar to that. These big mountains that you see look like humans, right? If you just look it up, I don't take my word for it, just look it up. It's amazing, I know. Yes, and these giants in Hibernia had big third eyes. So they had a big third eye in the middle of their forehead. This is where a lot of Greek mythology comes in, right? Where they're talking about, oh, third eye giants, this is where it came from. These giants started in Hibernia, at the end of Hibernia. And they reproduced by laying eggs. They didn't have sex yet. Sex wasn't something like, you know, like where people were male and female, you know, do that thing. But that shit wasn't going on yet. It was, they were laying eggs and reproducing through laying eggs. So now you have Polarians who were transcendent in form. You had Hyperborea, where there was the beginning, like I said, was very like electrical, transcendent, and then they had the big giants coming in after that. And then after Hibernia, Lemuria hit. Now this is where people don't get confused of Lemuria. What is Lemuria? A lot of people know about the land of Myrrh, right? So Lumeria, these beings were very giant-like. They were very, very giant-like, but at the end of the day, there was, in the beginning of Lumeria, there was giants and big. So if you go into South America, if you go to Hawaii, if you go to Samoa, okay, you're gonna see a lot of giant heads that a lot of like European settlers hid from us because of power and money and all, you know how that goes. But there is big giant like Nephilim big-headed Toltecs. This is where the Stonehenge come in. Stonehenge beings, those are Lemurian beings. Okay, they're very tall, but they lost their third eye, so their third eye faded away. So all those Titan giants that you see in the mountains, their time was up, and now it's the time of the Stonehenges. The Stonehenges, they didn't have a third eye, but they were very, very huge in form, right? This is Lumeria. These are the Lumerians, okay? The beginning of Lumeria, right? So boom, Lumeria came into existence. They started doing their thing. They were very divine creatures. They in the beginning of Lumeria, they didn't really have sex too much because they were so into, they already knew where they came from. They were very so advanced, just like the Titans and the giants with the third eye. They were advanced beings creating by manifesting through thought matter, okay? That's how they ultimately came into existence, and this is all over the world. You can find all this all over the world. It's crazy. From the Stonehenges to going into like the Pacific Ocean. So the Pacific Ocean, all over the Pacific Ocean, underneath the ocean, that was Lumeria. Okay, so ultimately, if you're living on the West Coast and you look to the Pacific Ocean, which is that way, sorry, yeah, Pacific Ocean is that way, and then that one's all the way down to New York, right? The Atlantic Ocean. We'll get into that after this. But Pacific Ocean, Lumeria was underneath the Pacific Ocean. That's why Samoa, Hawaii, you have big, that's why Samoans are so big and why Hawaiians are so big, and a lot of the islanders are really big because their ancestors are, guess what? Lumerians. They were the Stonehenges, they were the Toltecs, they were the Hopis, they were all these big giant beings that a lot of later on the native tribe started praising them and started drawing pictures on the wall because they knew that these beings were very divine. They were very in tune with their internal energy, okay? Now, after Lumeria, okay, you had, what you had after that? You had Atlantis. Okay, yeah, exactly. That's how Atlantis, okay. So Atlantis, like I said in the other video, I read a book. Actually, I'm reading a book. I finished the first book. I'm going into now Mount Shasta, and I'll talk about that later. But Lumeria, after Lumeria, boom, there was Atlantis. Now, there is a big hidden story that about Lumerians and Atlantis having a war with each other. So war started happening. Also, war started happening also with the beginning of the Lumerian race with the Stonehenge giants. There was war going on at the time. Duality started splitting. I'm gonna get into that more about Sophia and the Gnostic teachings and how they talk about that in the next video. But let's just talk about the root races right now. So after Lumeria and all the Stonehenge giants, guess what happened after that? It was Atlantis. Now Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean. It just makes sense. You don't gotta. You don't gotta be no rocket science to understand that. So Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean. Boom. So after Atlantis was here, that was like 10,000 years ago. After Atlantis was here, the giants, the bird-headed beings, all these different when they started genetically coding with different species here, these were things that were happening. But we have to understand, humans were humanoids before they started migrating with animals and creating animal head beings and crocodile head beings, all the stuff you see in hieroglyphs with Osiris and Ra and Thoth and all that stuff. This is just some genetically scientific experiments they were doing in Atlantis. But prior to that, we were already humans. We were humanoids, giant humanoids, and Atlantis, they had giants from their Nephilims coming into their land all over the place. It was beautiful. So Atlantis came, and if you want to learn more about Atlantis, you can go check my Atlantis video. I talk about that a lot. And then boom, after Atlantis, you have us. We are now here. It's the Aryans, okay? But through the Aryan race, you had the battles of Greek, you had the battles of Rome, you had China Dynasty, you had Anglo-American Saxon world power. These are all Aryan races, okay? So what's after this race? So we're going into what you would call the Indigo children. The Indigo children is what I am. I'm an Indigo child. Awesome Avatars, you're an Indigo child. So you Indigo children are going to be the new age, the new dawn of age coming into existence, where we're going to bring in floration everything that happened since the beginning of Polaria. And I told you Polaria was it was so divine. They were transcendent form, aka angels, right? Angelic form, not like angels like Gabriel and Michael. I'm talking about how they look like why we were able to float and all that, but that was because we weren't attached to the ground yet. We were less density. Look it up. Look up low density and high density. Look that up and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay, we were very less dense. We didn't have that carbonated body. Okay, that wasn't in existence yet. So what we're going into is literally the new like Indigo children power. So our auras are going to explode, our energy is going to explode. We're literally going through it right now. That's why I'm making this video, because I know it's so important for us to know this right now, because we're literally this is the year. I'm not kidding. This year and next year is our transformation into the Indigo world. Okay, we're leaving the Aryan, the age of Pisces. Age of Pisces, it was the age of belief. Okay, for like literally 2,000 to 6,000 years, we were in this stage of belief system. We were believing everything we see, right? We were like, oh, we believe you, we believe you, we believe you. You know, that was what we were going into. So now, since Aquarius is here, and this is just facts, this ain't no this is just what it is, okay? Aquarius age, we're in the Aquarius age now, okay? So we're going into a more transcendent form ourselves as Indigo children, and all the children that are from the star seeds, we're going to expand and become the new root race, which is the Indigo race, the Indigo children race. Okay, not to say there was not a lot of Indigos in the past, but it's just part of the stars. Like, we're already past Pisces age, we're in Aquarius now. So Aquarius means the age of knowledge. All right, if you don't understand that, look that up. Pisces was the age of belief. Aquarius age is the age of knowledge, meaning that we are already knowledgeable. Okay, we don't need to ask nobody. We just need to go research information and then gather it, and then that's all we have to do, manifest it. Okay, within that knowledge, we're going to learn how to become wisdom, and that's how wisdom is going to be in floration in Indigo children. Okay, boom. So this is where we are right now. Awesome Avatars, this is the root race episode. I'm gonna breathe in that abundance before we end this, because I don't want to be too long. I know you guys have stuff to do. I know this is gonna be a really productive day, because I know that if you've been breathing in that good prana, if you breathing in that abundance and letting out that happiness, you're going to see what I'm saying is very divine in all types of forms, in the divine order, not the new world order. The divine order is here, and you are the vaccination. And all this disease is just fear. Don't go into the fear. All this COVID stuff, coronavirus. I keep saying that in every video because I don't want you guys to get succumbed by fear and doubt and hatred and pestilence and sorrow and anger. I hate myself. No, don't say that, okay? Say that I am great. I am divine. I am love. I am pure. I am all. I am the universe. I am the birds in the trees. I am the lizards in the ground. I am the soil of the ground. Soil, soul. Okay, it's the same thing. The soil of your soul. Okay, give yourself some good watering every morning. Water your soil, water your soul every morning, and breathe in that abundance and let out that happiness. Awesome Avatars, my name is SoNice. This is Nice Conversation Season 2, New Beginnings. Let's go. Have a good rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.
Baptize me in the mud, rinse me down, lift me up. Miracles on a hush. Cause we about had enough. Notifications for no illustrations, be up here rising. Let go of frustrations and all allegations, we all in alarm.